a very warm welcome to you all. It's my absolute pleasure to welcome you to the Immigration Museum on this very special day, the 2017 International Migrants' Day. For those whom I have not met as yet, I'm Rohini Kapadath, and I'm honored to hold the position as General Manager for the Immigration Museum, recently appointed only about 6 to 7 weeks ago. As an organization, we are immensely proud and excited to work with diverse communities to explore, to document, and to present their stories and experiences of immigration and of cultural diversity right here in Australia, and particularly in Victoria. As we all know, immigration is vital to the Australian identity, which is why we have an immigration museum here. We in Victoria come from so many different countries, from 200 countries. We speak over 260 languages and dialects. We follow 135 religious faiths, and nearly half of all Australians were either born overseas or have a parent born overseas. So I think International Migrants' Day is just one chance that we all have to celebrate what the Immigration Museum celebrates all year round, the story of our really terrific and creative and entrepreneurial migrants. And this year, the focus of the message for International Migrants' Day is safe migration in a world on the move. And we all know that given the refugee crisis in Syria, the result of the US presidential elections and the Brexit vote, that the movement of people around the world is becoming such a major talking point. The world is experiencing the biggest displacement of people since the Second World War, with more than 22 million people displaced from their home countries. I mean, it's an extraordinary phenomenon that we're all living through, and we see the imagery on our TV screens. And whilst many of us sit in disbelief that this is occurring, I think we can't ignore that we are in extraordinary times when it comes to the global migration of people. More than 1 million people arrived in Europe in 2015 alone. An extensive migration and movement across the globe can bring with it a number of challenges, including pressures on infrastructure, on basic services, etc. And so it is a point of tension for many in our community, but it also brings well-documented economic benefits. Migrants are the entrepreneurs, they are the workers, the consumers, they are taxpayers, they are job creators. And today we can see a brilliant example, and we're here to hear a very special story of migrant contribution, the rich contribution that every migrant to this country makes. And I'm here also to say that I'm a migrant as well from about 30 years ago. So I'm delighted today on my International Migrants' Day to be sharing a story of a dear friend of the Immigration Museum, Cuc Lam. And today is a conversation that will not only share her personal and heartfelt story of migration, but it will also celebrate her recent appointment as Mayor of Maribyrnong Council. Congratulations, Cuc. And the red bag that you see right here, I'm sure that we'll hear a lot more about it, but it's the very bag that Cuc traveled with when she migrated to Australia as a Vietnamese refugee 40 years ago. But we have here with us today Dr. Moya McFadyen, Museums Victoria's Senior Curator of Migration and Cultural Diversity. Moya is the co-curator behind our groundbreaking exhibition that you'll see on the second floor, and I'd encourage you to go and visit, please, called Identity, Yours, Mine, and Ours. It's a brilliant exhibition. It really needs a good one to 2 hours if you can, spend that time, and it's well worth it. And that exhibition has pushed boundaries of how museums can explore challenging and contemporary issues. Moya herself is also the creator of the now showing British Migrants exhibition also on the second floor, British Migrants, Instant Australians. These are exhibitions that I would suggest that you must take the time to visit. I'd encourage you to do so. So without further delay, and hello, Huss, you've just arrived. I have sort of introduced you as well to the audience today. But without further delay, to formally introduce you to our honorary guest, Cuc Lam, let me hand over to Moya McFadyen. Thank you, Moya.
Thanks so much, Rahini, and good afternoon and welcome everyone to this exciting day at the Immigration Museum and to our very special event to celebrate International Migrants Day today. So it's my very great pleasure to welcome Councillor Cuc Lam, who's the newly appointed Mayor for the city of Maribyrnong. And as Rahini has said, Cuc has been a long friend of the Immigration Museum, and our relationship started many, many years ago during a UNHCR Amnesty exhibition here at the Immigration Museum in which Cuc's refugee story featured. And it was at that time that Cuc offered to donate her wonderful objects to the museum collection, including her suitcase, which you see here, her escape clothes, photos and other personal effects, and of course her incredible story. Indeed, Cuc's suitcase has been identified as a treasure of the museum's collection and was included in the Treasures of the Museum book, which was published in 2004. So since then, Cuc's story and her collection have become icons for the museum and our migration collections. So we've documented them, displayed them, featured them in education programs and online resources. And other educational and cultural organisations have picked up the story and drawn on Cuc's experiences to explore themes about refuge, belonging and making a new life. So Cuc's suitcase has become a symbol of how a very ordinary object can reveal a life most extraordinary. It is a touchstone for the refugee story. It reminds us that people have sought refuge in Australia since early settlement and that the validity and urgency of this motivation for migrating continues even more so today. Such objects help us to make such stories tangible. So Cuc has been extraordinarily generous with her time, her artefacts and her life story. We wouldn't be able to do what we do here at the museum without the courage of people to share their stories with us. So today we are celebrating Cuc's mayoral appointment on this most appropriate of days, International Migrants Day. And I'm now going to ask Cuc a few questions so that she can share her story with us, and then we'll take some questions from the floor. So Cuc, welcome. Could you share with us your early memories, where you were born, your family, and growing up in Vietnam to help set the context for us?
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for having me here this morning. I thank you to all of you. Particular, I have a few friends with me here today too. So, my friend come from former university in Vietnam. He's only come here today too, and other friend from other organization, and I wouldn't name because I might miss out of you, so I don't want to pronounce, but you know who you are. And thank you, Immigration Museum, that allow me and very kindly all the time mention about my story. I look at before I answer your question, I look at my suitcase already, because I donating to the Immigration Museum now. However, I look at the suitcase, that bring back my memory. I have a little bit emotion before that, so I apologize if during the talk that I might have a little bit emotional. So, yeah. Well, I would share with you that usually I would like to stand, if that's okay with you, but I feel sitting down and talk, I feel a little bit, I'm too tall, so you might not see me. I have my memory is early year that I was born in a village. It's called Tay Ninh, near the Black Mountain. I grew up there until I finished my primary school. My father passed away when I only 15 days old. My mother's passed away when I'm 13 years old. But my mother always determined that me to have a good education. So she worked hard and sent me to Saigon, which now called Ho Chi Minh City, for me to study there. I still remember her word to me said that I cannot give you a lot of money because we're poor. So that's not on, but I will give you education. Because if education will stay you forever. If I give you the money Today, maybe the next day, gone. It will be gone with the money. But education will last you for a long time and forever. Will help you to life. And that's my early year childhood. That's what I remember. Since I moved to Saigon to stay with my sister, and she looked after me since then.
And Cuc, so do you have any memories at all of the war and what made it so necessary for you to escape your homeland?
Thanks, Moya. Look at this one. That's my ID. You can see that my surname is not Lam. That's my maiden name is Tran. When I married, I came to Australia. People tell me that your marriage, maybe you had to change your surname to your family surname. That means I'm Lam since then, since I arrived in Australia. But my memory, my memory, my early childhood is, sorry to share with you, but it's just not the best that I could remember. It's during the war. Everything is war, fighting. I don't know what's fighting, but I can say that it's really my early childhood. It's not the great. It's not like little, Barbie dolls or Ken or, a lot of toy thing. I don't have luxury like that. And I keep study hard and work to support. Working my sister have a business, so I always support her with her business. And so she can pay my school education. There's not many free education in Vietnam, so we always like that. And that when I look at that, it's my ID. The reason I purposely delete it containing that's where I was born, and that's my mother's name, my father's name, and I deliberately block out the date of birth, so you don't know who my age. Yeah, so this is my early, but I remember that I live in Saigon. It's called Ho Chi Minh now, and from there I studied there secondary school. But during the weekend, I came back to Tay Ninh to visiting my mother and my relative. Some of my sisters stay there. Our family, we have 5 daughters and 4 sisters, including me, 4 girls and 3 boys. But 1 or 2 of my brother has passed away when he was young. Only 1 brother left. And I came back to Tay Ninh for a visit on the weekend. And one of my horrific memories that I have seen people dying in front of me when the bomb was exploding in front of me, only about a few meters away from me on the coach, on the bus. So that horrific memories is always with me, and sometimes that I still remember the nightmare of that, and I still, want to get rid of that, but that I always stick it, it with me in my head. That's the reason why I'm scared of the war, and that's why I want to run away from the war, if I could.
So, Cuc, can you describe your escape with your husband, Min, for us? And we've got up here some images that Cuc took when she went back to Vietnam, I think about 1990, to sort of document the kind of boat for her children that she came out on.
After the war, 30th of April 1975, that day I never forget. I met my husband for a number of years because we studied together and also at the university, and also we met through the Red Cross. We do all volunteers on the Red Cross on the weekend. Rather, I'm going to the club. I'm not. I'm going to the Red Cross to try to help other people who, have crisis like flood or starvation, things like that. So I do that on the weekend, and I met my husband since then about 3-4 years before that, and then 1975, when the fall of Saigon, we decided to hurry up to get married. So our intention is to run away. Because during that time, we could not see any sort of future or freedom. So I'm talking about 40 years ago. So we decided to escape. And I told my husband after we got married, straight away in a month later, then we planned to escape. There's so many attempts to leave the country, but it's so difficult. There's many attempts. We lost so much money, gold, and everything. So the last chance, we did 1976, unsuccessful. People took the money and ran away and never come back. So 1978, that I found one of my girlfriends who also worked with me and also have a relative has been released from re-education camp in 1978. So we said that we're going to join our money together to purchase the little boat. The boat this is the Mekong Delta. You can see that this is the symbol of that, the condition. And we put all the money together. I remember it's about 4 or 5 bars of gold, which is a lot of money at that time, each of us. So we're going to purchase the boat and the river boat. The river boat, so it called the place we call from Saigon to Cuc Lam. This is the Mekong Delta. This is in the west. I don't know any one of you been to Vietnam, and I know that a few of my fellow Vietnamese friends here today too, so they will know that Cuc Lam is very well. So from Saigon to Cuc Lam is about 120 kilometers. So we purchased the boat. It's a river boat. It's no image here, but we have to travel the little boat like that before we go to the river boat. So we put money together, we purchased the river boat, and then we buy a lot of lemons and all the food, rice and water, kerosene and everything on the boat. So we travel from Saigon to Cuc Lam. You can see previous slide, they have a ticket. My ticket, the ticket go from Saigon to Cuc Lam. If you can go back to this is one here, okay? That's called Cuc Lam, the word Cuc Lam then. And if I don't have that ticket, I will be left behind. My husband and I will have to buy that ticket to travel on the bus, on the coach, to Cuc Lam, to leave, to escape. On that day, the people, we purchased the boat and people inform us to go to Cuc Lam and leave. Well, I will jump for joy for that, but this group of people, we live in Saigon, we have to travel the coach to Cuc Lam. On the boat, there are about 34 people all come together. Can you go? Yeah, to that little boat, like 3 or 4 of each go to the other boat. We call this one is a taxi. The other river boat is called taxi, and the other one is a truck. So we moving from taxi to the truck. Each of us, 4 or 5, go to that little one. The small boat go to the big boat. The big boat is unfortunately a river boat. The river boat is only cater for river. They carry one place to another for Mekong Delta. They only carry the fruit or rice. It doesn't cater for carry people to escape. But we were in there. What we have to do, we put all that, my friend's cousin who live in Cuc Lam, because we have to secretly escape. So my friend, cousin, who purchased the boat there, he got a few people and a group of us, this group of friends of us from Saigon, to come to Cuc Lam to go together. So soon we got the boat. Then we really were shocked because the boat, it doesn't cater for that. That including the skipper. He was in Navy from the former of Vietnamese, South Vietnamese government. And he looked at the boat, but what can we do? We just can't, if we move on, then we might die, or we just die back, then we were caught by the communists. And that time, if we were, if we've been caught by the communists, we had to, they're gonna shoot us, we're gonna die, or we'll be in jail forever. So we just have to go, regardless, whatever the situation. So we went there from little boat, then we moved, we went to the big boat. That's about 4 or 5 people on that little one to go to the truck. And then we get rid of the little one, so we jump on that and sailed in to international water, and hopefully that any ship or anyone will, come bypass, will pick us up to any country. However, only 2 days. My memory is going really 2 days, and all the water has tipped over. There's no water. Then we only have rice. And rice, we can't cook. Although no water to drink, how can we cook? Then we have to eat lemon, orange, all the fruit that we brought with us, like lemon and watermelon, whatever is in there, we can survive. After 2 days, and the water, thanks God for the water, is so calm. So we just survive with that. On the 6th day, that we met one of the Malaysian, 6th day, we want to, during that time, without international water. So we met a few boats, went past, a ship went past to us, but they didn't want to rescue us. So they only give us a little lamb, a raw lamb, and 20 liters of cordial to drop from their ship to our little boat. So number one, we have no water. How can we drink? How can we mix the cordial? Because we're so exhausting. All the people on the boat, except the little kid, there's no seasick, but all of us, we all have seasick. But we have, because the water started to come to our boat. So the men have to, just survive, have to tip all the water out of the boat, and then the woman just have no move. Just all of us is so seasick. So on the 6th day, they give us like that. So the lamb we cannot cook, so we leave the lamb on the little boat because we don't want to throw it in the ocean just in case that with the shark will follow. They smell the blood, they will follow us, so we don't throw them. We just keep on that. And then the water, the cordial, it's about every day a couple of teaspoons to survive, to get the glucose in our body to getting energy. So then on the 8th day that we found one of the Malaysian Navy ship, they come past. And at that time, the refugee camp still open. So after hours to beg them, to place them, to take us as we are the genuine refugee. On my boat, there's a couple of engineering and a couple of engineer people, friend who could speak up English, but they're too frightened because they don't want to say, male, if I come to talk to them, they might, worry. So send me. Women come and jump up to the ship and talk to the captain. And after hours to talk to them and explain to them about that, as you know, in my country, when I study English is my first language and French is my second language. So I can come and talk to the captain and explain to them about situation. So after about a few hours, so they took us, they said, all right, okay, women and the child open the ship, and all the male still left behind in our boat, in the river boat, so they can tow overnight. So after overnight, that we reached to Pulau Tengah, Malaysian island. It's a refugee camp. I remember at that time the camp's around about over 2,000 people in that refugee camp. Not the other refugee camp called Pulau Bedong. There's about more than 10,000 people there. So what happened next? Do you want me to carry on?
I'll stop you for a minute.
Thank you.
And before we go to what happened next at Malaysia, this is, and I think that's an amazingly vivid story that Cuc has told us, and it's amazing how it just still resonates today with refugee experiences today. That kind of journey just doesn't seem to change, and the trauma of that. And Cuc, I know this is a really emotional image for you. This is your sister and her family. Would you like to share with us what happened with some other members of your family?
Thanks, Moya. I know that's 40 years ago, but every time I look at photo, this is my sister, my older sister, the sister that I stay with her when I was young, and that's my brother-in-law, and that's my nephew. After May 1978, the 19th of May 1978, I left the country. Then I reached to the Pulatanga a week, 8 days after that. Then I arrived in Australia, sent a telegram to my sisters after I stayed in the refugee camp for about 6 weeks. I sent a telegram to my sisters. At that time, there's no phone. They could not ring from Australia to Vietnam. So I sent a telegram that hopefully when my sister will get it. And she did. She get it and she hurried up and sent her 2 children. This boy here and another girl, her daughter, to escape. They went to the Mekong Delta, but different location. And I think they pay more than what I did. They pay like another people together, another smuggler, but they just pay to people who got the boat and who would take the money. I think she pays about 24 bars of gold each of them. So she paid all sort of a lot of money to them, but 2 of her children never reached to any destination because they drowned after 2 days. Their boat, the sea boat, not the river boat like us, catered 205 people on that boat. The department from Bạc Liêu, B-A-C-L-I-E-U. So 2 days later, the boat sank. So her children never reached to destination. And I heard after that, the people report when they only 1 person survived because he hung on to the tin. So he landed back to the west, come out. It's at the end of the southwest of Vietnam. And all the people, 204 people died, that including my niece and nephew. My sister, still now, she still hopes that her children will landed somewhere around the world, will come one day and visiting her. But unfortunately, when I'm in Australia, I tracing refugee, tracing with Red Cross and everywhere. Even I sent the letter to Geneva to ask for that name and the boat. The boat never reached to any United Nations High Commission. So over 2 children drowned. So that.
And so, Cuc, you made it to the refugee camp. So, so how long were you there, and why did Australia become your destination?
I was very lucky compared to other refugees, I must say. I stayed there at that time, as I said, that the refugee camp is still open. So I think I feel well treated. One day, I have a little fish and a couple of bowls of rice. I didn't know I was pregnant with my son, and I have to climb to the mountain and get the seashell to eat. That's why now my children love seafood. My son particularly, he loves seafood, and he had onion, which is I have morning sickness. I never liked spring onion at that time. So I stayed there only 6 weeks, and then I got interview with United Nations High Commissioner, and they give us a choice. They give here America, you can go, Canada, friends in Australia. At that time, I feel very lucky. And because I have my nature, love to do volunteers, I put my hand up. I speak a little bit English. Okay, so I say I can do a secretary job. I can work at that time at the United Nations High Commissioner. I say, okay, I can do that until I leave the refugee camp. So every day I help other newly arrived or just arrived, by boat to the refugee camp, try to help them to write their names and explain to them name and all the information, all the form. I sit down, help them to fill in form, completing form. So I stayed there, and then what happened, I got an interview. My husband and I had an interview with Australian delegation, and they asked me, United Nations High Commission first, and they said, therefore, for country, which country would you choose? I discussed with my husband, America? No, there's too many free guns there. I'm too scared. I'm worried. The gun, I can hear that I would, to collapse. So, no America. French, I have to restudy French, my language again. I say, no, it's rusty, so I won't take that. Canada? Well, Canada is too cold. I have giving me a bad impression from my cousin who live in Edmonton, far north in Canada, which I went there 2006 with my young boy, and it's too freezing. Minus 22 degrees. I'm a tropical person. So I said, no, Canada. But then I said, the only one, Australia. I only learned Australia to people Australian people went to my country to fighting, during the war. So I said, I remember that with kangaroo in the head and the flyer, shoot the flyer with the head like that. And I spoke to a few of them because my brother-in-law who worked for American Embassy, and he brought Australian and American people come over. And I said, the only that I can say the Australian people and big country, maybe that is the place to go. Maybe the country with milk and honey, but you have to work hard. So I thought, okay, Australian. When I have interviewed with Australian delegation, and he said to me, what would you do when you come to Australia? I just said to them, I can do any job, any type of job. I can do as a cleaner, I can do anything. I would take any job. Okay, and they said, that sounds interesting. That sounds good. You got qualification and you want to do anything? I say yes, because I can just any type of job I can do, and I will do. So anyway, my first job in Australia is a kindergarten and ethnic liaison officer for in the childcare center and the kindergarten. Anyway, so after that, but as you know, when I left the country from Saigon to Cantor, that I did not bring anything with me because I want to mix with people, with the local people. So my husband and I, we disguised as fishermen, okay, and fisherwomen, so we can mix with people in Cantor. And my husband, he got a short-sighted. So he could not wear his clothes. He really struggled to walk, and I tell him off all the time when he just stared at one thing. So, and I did not bring anything. The only thing that I brought with me was my mother's earring, that's just one of the souvenir, and my wedding ring. So I remember when I got accepted with Australian delegation, come to Australia, then I had to sell my wedding ring to purchase the red suitcase. And I can remember at that time, in the refugee camp, I go back, I just to and from, I had to go, in the refugee camp, it's a small hall, but it caters for about 500 people. 500 people that my husband and I, we have 1 meter by 2 meter. So we sleep there, eat there. So, and so that's how we survive for that. Okay.
Thanks, Cuc. That's great. So you've covered the suitcase story, and it's always very moving how Cuc talks about that, is that she didn't want to land in Melbourne with empty-handed, that she wanted something, even if it was a suitcase with very little in it. So it really demonstrates what a incredibly important object this is in terms of representing that that experience for Cuc. So we'll jump to Melbourne now, Cuc, and you went to Midway Hostel, and maybe just reflect on that and how you've sort of transitioned into your life in Australia.
Thank you, Moya. Well, after we got accepted from the refugee camp, come to Australia. We don't know where Victoria, Melbourne. Where is it? So we said, as I said, I sell my wedding ring to purchase the red suitcase, which is not much. Whatever they offer, because we think if we come to Australia and we have nothing to bring us, so we thought it would be nice to have something security, belonging. And I bought red, purpose. I just said that red is bring out the good luck. It's not so visible. The first time on the aeroplane, on the Cuc 2, and during that time, 78 is under Mr. Malcolm Mr. Malcolm Fraser, is a Prime Minister. We saw that, and we just bought just a couple of material to make some nice shirt to come into aeroplane. Otherwise, we have old rag clothes, just like a refugee camp. We have not much. So we was in Kuala Lumpur, so we sold that wedding ring from there, and we purchased the red suitcase. And when we arrived in Melbourne, that's our hostel, it's Midway Hostel, near High Pond Shopping. And it's opposite with the Department of Defence before, but now it's a Waterford Green, and now it's a student village. So we stayed there for about 6 months. I had my son, so we moved into other accommodation, because in the Midway Hostel that I remember, I could not eat the food. I'm not used to eat lamb, sorry. I was fully pregnant, and I can only eat egg, porridge, I love, and sausage. That's all, and I can survive. So my husband and I, we went back to study English again. We stay in the Midway Hostel, even we have nothing to bring with us. But as you can see, that it's, yeah. This is the suitcase that we bought, that's small like that, and this is very treasure for us. And we only put a couple of, the clothes there for souvenir, and we have just an empty suitcase. But when we landed in Midway Hostel, we really delighted. So our feeling to Australia the first day is a freedom. It was just like a little bird. We're just out of the cage. We can run, we can fly, we can do anything we wish. And we're studying English together, and then I have my son. We have to move out. My first place in Kensington, in the Housing Commission flat. I stayed there for about 6-7 years, have no car, then work, 7 o'clock in the morning until 2 o'clock, and then by 2:15, work at one of the local Catholic school, because I'm good in math. I'm accountant background, so I teach the children math and English for newly arrival, for newly children. All my students now, they are all doctors and pharmacists. They all that. They still see me in the street. They say, "Hello, Miss Cuc, how are you?" They like that. They're really good students. I'm very pleased to see they're successful. So work there, and then evening that I study. I went back to study at RMIT, now which called Philip Technology in Coburg. Long time ago. I studied BA there. People have no car. I drag myself. Then my husband, at that time, he worked for St. Vincent Hospital. So he worked in the X-ray department there. So the working and also the struggle of that newly arrival, at that time, I found that, of course we feel like freedom, like the birds out of the cage, but their reality come to us. We have to work to look after our family, then supporting people overseas in Vietnam. In particular, my sister, who after I left, she will she also escaped as well. But her children on the first boat, she's from the second boat, and the second boat is unsuccessful because the patrol found out and they caught her, they put her in jail for about 6 months. She had to pay her to get out the jail, and she lost all her money. All her, when you leave the country, you empty the government, that all your belonging, all your house confiscated by the government, so she have nothing left. So she been in jail, she have nothing. She had completely, she was very, very wealthy at that time when I left. She got a lot of money, that's why she can pay her children to leave and everything. So, but when she put in jail, she have to pay herself out, so she lost every money. She not even go back to her own home. She went back to the village where we were born in Tainan, and she still reside there now. And anyway, my reality is looking for work, go to learning, study English, is re-qualify my my career and looking at the future, and that's a lot of difficult to cope with. So that is how I can say that, yeah, everybody, you know, all the refugee and migrant the same.
So thanks, Cuc. So you've done so much work for the community and in the community, and we've got a photo here where you were awarded a public service medal at Government House in 2002. And I know we're running out of time, so maybe if we jump to... No, you're such a good storyteller. But now you're mayor, which is an amazing achievement. So could you just reflect for us on what that appointment means to you, what you're hoping to achieve, both for your community and the broader community?
Okay, thank you. My aim is really my nature that because I lost my parent, I know that it's how hard it is, and also with for anyone. So I just think I want to give back. Even in my country, I work for a restaurant for free, you know, on the weekend and all that, volunteer. But when I come to Australia, that one of my main thing is to give back to the big sisters of the mainstream and to my community as well. So that is why nature, and I involved with number. Even before I got elected as a councillor, I elected twice, 2000 for one term to 2003. And I feel really like I'm neglecting my kid. When my children is so young, I have 3 children, 2 boys and a girl, and they're all growing up now. But I feel that I would like to give back. This is my nature, and give back to I'm very passionate about to supporting the community, from the people who come from diverse cultural and linguistic background, and even the elderly people. And that is why I re-stand again for 2016, and I got elected. And this year, I got elected as a mayor for the city of Melbourne. And this is a role of very honor to be representative of the whole city. And I before that, I'm involved with the Western Health Hospital on the multicultural advisory, and the John Kern Children's Hospital now will be completing, you know, in 2018, and also with the Western English Language School, I'm there for 17 years. Migrant Resource Center, I'm there for nearly 10 years. I was there before with the Women Health West, and we are the sort of involved on the section of domestic violence, you know, to supporting, you know, all that for many years, and I resigned, you know, many years ago. And it's a few organizations I would like to give back. And the Vietnamese Community Association, I was on the women vice president to, you know, to supporting and to get a lot of field program as well. I see that is one of the things that I should be doing, and I will doing until I die. I tell my children also try to do the same, because I thank you, my family, appreciate that the Australian government and Australian people, everybody who's supporting us and open arm to receiving us to come to Australia to have a freedom of choice. And, you know, we could do that to give back.
Thanks, Cuc. So I might just quickly open up to the floor. Does anyone out there have a question that they'd like to ask Cuc?
You didn't explain your time in Malaysia at all. How long were you there, and how did that go?
So I'm in Malaysia refugee camp only 6 weeks. And I got 1 week in Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia before I departed to Australia. So, as I said earlier, I'm very lucky. Many refugee people stay in the refugee camp for about 10 years, minimum, 10 years. And even that, like, if one country rejected, go to another one, and they've been there for a number of years. So I was very, very lucky. Not because I work for United Nations, but I just, at that time, my refugee camp is less people, only, more than 2,000 people. Other refugee camp, they have a lot of more, and people live there for a very long time. A lot of people, unfortunately, even they pass away in the refugee camp as well.
How did you cope with Melbourne's weather when you first came here, and have you got used to the cold weather yet?
Well, thank you for that question, sir. I can say that when I arrived in Australia, in Melbourne, and you can see my shirt, the blue shirt there, is very thin. Then from there, I just get out of the car, the bus would pick up from the airport, and I had to run straight away to the room and under the heater. It's so freezing in July. Okay, yeah, in July, and that's winter time, and I just couldn't believe. And every day, I'm just too scared. Walk out the room. We have a studio room. It's a husband and wife. They cater for a couple. That's why when I have my son, I have to move out quickly because that's not cater for the kid. And I'm love to have a bowl of rice with some fried rice or anything, but I could only have like a kettle of water and instant noodle. Later they found that we all cooking in that. They say, hurry up, you cannot cook in the room, getting fired, don't do that.
Firstly, I'd love to thank you for your story. It's a very, very, very precious story and wonderful. But I'm so fortunate. I live in Footscray, so I'm one of your people. And also, I'm working in the local Catholic school in St John's in Essex Street with refugee newly arrived families. So
I do,
I suppose it's more like thanking you, but also love to say, what are your hopes for in your role? I think you're such a precious person because you're standing there with the wisdom of experience. And when you look at our very varied city of Maribyrnong and the struggles of the new arrivals, I know you've mentioned some wonderful organisations that you're part of. Just any little hope you have in your heart about that.
Okay,
thank you.
You know that for those who haven't been not a resident in Footscray or Maribyrnong, we have a number of refugee organizations. You can see like Asylum Seeker Resource Center and West Wagon and other organizations, refugee, serving the refugee too. And actually, I belong to the West Footscray Rotary Club. Sorry, I don't want to be biased, but anyway, I just want to involve that. And I think that we have a community plan. So the forward community plan, and I have a lot of input into that to provide a service to the resident. We look at that, and I also look at a number because I am working for the federal government for 29 years, and I still am. Before that, I work in different organizations, but I do. And I'm the multicultural. I do know a lot of people facing with and provide that sort of service to the people. We're looking from the road, from the service to the community, parking, everything that the council provide, and we want to provide the best, and also all the time with community involvement. We have we always, and I would like to always have community consultation and involve community input into that. And we there for them, and we will listen to the community what they would like us to do. For you, not for us. Yeah. If you do love and care, and if you want to give back, it's always mutual. So you give back to what you have received and give back to whatever you could to the community, to your own community, and to the mainstream community, regardless. Okay, whoever needs it, try your best. And with I would never fear of that hard work. I always put my hand up to do some, and I like, change will be good. Do a lot of things, and you always just passionate about that. And I would talk to the international migrant and a lot of refugee, young people, and I said to them, do volunteers. A lot of things there, you do volunteers, and in own way, there's, you're happy, satisfied for yourself first. You want to give something. And every time I give, like Christmas time, I love to give something, do that because you feel good about that, for yourself, not someone else. Just do that. And when you give something, you feel the harmony in yourself first and try to give back whatever you could, just try to do that. And I always keep teaching my children and say that. And nothing, don't just waiting for something to come up to you. Just work hard, earn, and you will get what you want. And be faithful and be faith in yourself and just confident. Yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cuc. Shortly, our Cuc suitcase is about to go on display in the foyer, just outside here, along with a really beautiful miniature boat model, refugee boat model that was also made. It was actually made in an Indonesian refugee camp at around the same time the Cuc was going through her story. So do come and have a look at those. I would really just like to ask you all to join with me in thanking Cuc for opening up her heart for us, and I'm now going to pass over to Rohini, who's going to finish off our event for us today. Thank you.
Before you do, can I say something? Before you go, can I just say thank you very much for every one of you to come here to, have some, your valuable time to come here and listen to my story. I know that sometimes I go just to and from, but emotional. You cannot control it, and I apologize for that. But thank you, every one of you, to be here today, and I have a few friends here with me today too. And thank you, everyone, and thank you particularly to Immigration Museum to giving the opportunity to sharing my story with you here today.
First of all, Cuc, I'm sure I speak for all of us when we say how deeply moved we are by your story, and thank you for sharing it in such a beautifully personal and generous way. So thank you. Stories like yours are really profound in their capacity to change and to shift the narrative on migrants and the way in which we here in Australia actually engage with the concept of migration and the stories of migrants, including refugees, and particularly refugees. And I think that it is time now that we start to associate some new words with this word called migrant. And I'm sure many of us in this room are migrants. Hands up, who identifies as a migrant? Yeah. Most of us. And also, I would say hands up, who is a descendant of a migrant? Yeah, that probably would complete the room. We are a proud migrant nation, and we therefore now need to see migrants for what they are, which is contributors, they are brave risk takers, they are heavy lifters, they are entrepreneurs, they are nation builders, they are creators, makers, contributors, who also then create other leaders. If you just heard what Cuc was talking about in terms of her having created doctors, lawyers, engineers, and so on. So when we think about the migrant contribution, we must think about the spirit of migrants, the spirit of contribution held, and the desire by migrants and the desire to always give back. And therefore, there are many of us in our community today, and I can see, I see Hasya, I see David here, I see Nava, I see so many friends in the audience who I know are so deeply active in various multicultural communities because they understand from their own personal experiences that lending a hand goes such a long way and to create future leaders for our country.